So I'm here today with a great friend, Melin in Ireland. And Mats is a professor at Limerick University and has several dance books and is a dance scholar in an area of dance that is close to my heart, which is step dance and Highland. And I just wanted to share a little bit of his story today on how he's used dance to heal his body. And I thought what he's able to say in his story will be something that maybe other people can reflect with, or something can be shared and learned from, and hopefully dancers will be able to take this forward. So thanks, Mats, for talking.
Yeah, well, thanks for talking to me. Sitting here in Limerick in Ireland. I think the episode that you're thinking of with the healing is that one of the worst things that can happen to a dancer when you're kind of in full flight is to have a leg break or an accident that stops you fully in your tracks. And I was unfortunate, maybe, is it 5-6 years ago, to be run down on my bike cycling into the university to teach a dance class, and I only made it halfway when a car took me out, and I had a tibia plateau break on the right leg, and damage to the knee. The ribs and one arm wasn't too good either. And initially, they actually didn't, I'm not going to complain too much, but the A&E missed all the injuries and sent me home. And I didn't feel too good, shall we say, and I stiffened up and the leg swelled up. And in the course of all this, I contacted a physiotherapist who could quite quickly, after having iced the leg for half an hour to get it down to some kind of size where it could be examined, he said, yeah, you got breaks. Went to another hospital, and yes, they could establish that what was the damage. But sitting at home after a few days, maybe a week, nothing was happening. The leg was really sore and swollen, and flexibility was zero. And you and I had a conversation via Skype, and I think I was on quite strong painkillers, but even so, the conversation made perfect sense to me, because, as we've discussed various treatments and ideas over the years before, I kind of hoped that you would have something I could try to just kickstart the healing process, as I was kind of eager to go back in. I think at this point I had already been in the university trying to teach a dance class on crutches, and the students actually told me to go home because I was too painful to watch because I was in agony. Anyway, I was sitting there with the leg up on the sofa and being pretty much immobile. Everything was hurting, and you and I had this wonderful conversation, and I don't remember all the details, but you asked me if I had heard about Tibetan figure 8. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And that I should somehow, with my hand, trace a figure 8 kind of through my hip, over my knee and the ankle, and then back up again. Body. However, I was so unflexible and the ribs were hurting so much that I was actually unable to do anything physical. I just had to kind of figure out a way, and I think you suggested, can I do it in my mind? And I thought I'll give it a go. So we finished the conversation, and I thought I got absolutely nothing to lose here, because
nowhere to
nothing
go.
is happening.
You have nowhere to go.
And sorry, say again, you broke up.
Oh, I was just saying you had nowhere to go.
I had certainly nowhere to go. So I thought to myself, how can I do this? And well, in your mind, you can imagine anything. So I thought, rather than seeing my hand tracing a figure 8 over the hip and the knee and the ankle and back up, I thought, what about walking the path? So I decided to walk across my own leg. So it may sound strange, but it works in your mind. And no sooner had I started than I was doing dance steps across it. And not only did I just go across it at the front, once I'd completed one figure of 8, I did it on the inside of the leg, and then the back of the leg, and then the outside of the leg. And I went round it 8 times, I believe, 7 or 8 times. But as I was doing this, it turned into what we call in Scottish country dancing and Highland dancing a reel of 3, a figure of 8. And I was dancing it in my head. And the strangest thing was, well, not strangest, but where I was transported was back to the hall in Stockholm, Sweden, where I'm from, where I learned to do the dancing when I was 11 or 12. And I would say it was the first time I was brought or taught a figure of 8. And I remember the people around me. And basically I was dancing it again. I could smell the hall. I could hear the voices. I could hear the music. I could hear the teacher. And it was like being transported back in time. But I was doing it over and around my leg. So I finished this little sort of sequence. And I was incredibly tired at the end of that. But the thing that really made me kind of realize that something is happening is that as I stopped, there was this feeling of an opening in my right hip, and it felt like just cold air gushing out of it. It was just this spurt of something disappearing, energy out of me. And once that had finished, I know I looked at my wife who was observing me doing this, and I just looked at her and said, I need to sleep. And I think I just conked out for 20 minutes, half an hour. And when I came to, I looked down at my leg, and then I tried to bend it, and I could flex it ever so slightly. Not much, but enough to know that I can start healing. I can start applying some of the physiotherapy ideas that would come along and what have you. And I would say it speeded up my healing process immensely, because at that point it was bad energy disappeared and I was energized afterwards. But I was also at the very end of the figure of 8 episode, I was completely wiped out. I had absolutely no energy left, so I needed that short, deep sleep. But it worked for me, because recovery was, I don't know what recovery rates are for these things, but the physiotherapist, when I started going regularly, was very happy with my progress from week to week, maybe because I did all the exercises and I did more with it. But the figure of 8 has kind of worked in other contexts since, for minor injuries and what have you. So yeah, it's something I carry with me as a kind of successful way of treating yourself, by allowing your mind to, in a sense, wander, but in a controlled way.
Mm-hmm. And your prognosis too at the initial was that they didn't think you would be walking on that leg again, let alone dancing on it. And
yeah, no, they weren't terribly hopeful, because they didn't know the extent of the knee damage. I did have keyhole surgery on it, or rather there was no surgery, they just took away all the broken bits inside. But the professor who did it, he said, I'll make you walk and dance again. I'll do my best. And in fact, I could pinpoint the various points where it was painful, and he actually put marks on my knee with his pen before I went under. Yeah. And I suppose a little bit of an anecdotal thing was that only in Ireland, when you go into surgery, the first nurse that you meet is a keen set dancer. So you talk about set dancing as you're being taken to your bed and then down to surgery. And then the person who's putting the line into your arm is a step dancer. So you talk about steps. And then they checked the date and said, oh, it was your big 50 birthday a few days, and the whole company sings happy birthday to you, before the surgeon comes in to do the job in hand. And it was just like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. It makes you very, very happy. And then the first physiotherapist I met, having woken up, just said, don't lie there, just get up, stand up, do these exercises, walk around on the leg. And that was it. And speeded up recovery to a great degree. Yeah. So that's one of my little stories. But yeah, I can dance again. I got back into teaching and doing step dancing fairly quickly. Within a year anyway, I was dancing at full speed again.
Yeah, and with the step dancing, you have to have quite a bit of fluidity and bounce in it. So it has to be even and relaxed. So for your tissue to be able to do that, it's definitely recovered for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think certainly in the way I have since started to look at how, as I'm teaching within a university context and you're working on a kind of 12-week schedule of getting material into the bodies of your students, and quite often because they are examined at the end of it, so you need some kind of product, but at the same time it's a process. And I think I learned through my injury a way of passing on that the more you relax and the more you allow your body to listen to the music and understand the movements, the quicker you actually learn. So my teaching style has changed more and more. Well, not now since the COVID-19 has kicked in, but before that, I always have taught by holding on to people, but I was channeling way more energy and feeling from my body to the students one by one in my teaching. And trying to describe where the energy points lie in the music and how that translates into movement and where the important aspects of a movement lies. And if you can understand those fundamentally and relax around that, then you can move on and dance in a way more relaxed way. And I found that injury rate has gone down as well. So it's proactive.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's a nice way to finish.
Yeah.
So for those people that want to know what a figure eight pattern is, it's just tracing the hand in a figure eight. And so if I had pain across my arm, I would just be able to trace off of the arm. I don't even have to touch it, and just go back and forth. Sometimes the hands just know where they want to go and how they want to do the figure eight. Sometimes it's small. Sometimes it can just be a finger over one spot. So if there's a scar, you can trace with your finger over this with a figure eight, and eventually the scar will disappear. But that's what it is. And then what you decide to do with it in your mind and how you take those patterns that we have in dance. So thanks, Mats, for the conversation. And I hope it's inspired some people to think a little differently what they can do with their patterns of dance and figures of eight. Thanks.
Thank you.